What's up, everyone, and welcome to Through the Veil, episode number 4. In this episode, I'm going to be going over my life's purpose and how you can uncover your own life's purpose and sort of the process behind that. This is a very deeply personal episode for me because it's really the first time I have sort of gone very in depth into this in a public format and really covered what I think I'm here to do on this planet, which is inherently a deeply personal thing. So that being said, if you really enjoy this video, if you get something out of it, it would mean a lot to me if you share it out to friends, if you comment, if you're watching it on YouTube, as well as go follow me at Alexander Diesel, as you'll see with my message and kind of what my purpose is. A big part of it is getting this out to the public and kind of getting more people involved. So first, a little bit about purpose. I think a lot of people have a misconception about finding your life's purpose, that you just happen upon it all of a sudden and it's just this immediate fire that gets lit under you, and all of a sudden you know this was what I was meant to do and nothing else matters anymore, and you run 100 miles an hour at that thing specifically. And in my experience, that is not the way it works for most people. There's a few outliers who maybe know their life's purpose from a very young age, and awesome for those people. But for most of us, it is a process of uncovering. The analogy I use is like this. Think about yourself as an archaeologist, and you are uncovering your purpose at a dig site, and all of a sudden you're dusting off one bone over here, and you go, oh, okay, there's that bone over there. And then you dust off this bone over here, and as you start to excavate, the whole picture becomes apparent, and all these different little parts of your personality and skills you developed start to become clear in the way that they mesh together to actually be your personal life's purpose. So it's not so much a instantly knowing what you want to do. It's you start doing one thing, and maybe that's, for me personally, that's helping others. And I start to see, okay, well, here's how I like to do that. And then I start to see also on the other side of things, like, oh, I really enjoy optimizing things, and I really enjoy finding effective processes for different things. So all of a sudden I'm over here doing that. And then I start to see the way these two things can flow together and how I can optimize processes to help others. And that's sort of the way you uncover your purpose. You start to find all these little fragments of things that light you up, and you sort of puzzle it in to the full picture, and you start to see exactly what it is that you are supposed to be doing. So that's right off the bat something I think a lot of people get wrong about finding their purpose, is they sort of feel despondent or sad because they don't have this perfect purpose right off the bat, like some people apparently do. But it's comforting to know that most people are not like that. Most people do not suddenly have their purpose out of nowhere and just magically it appears in front of them in some vision quest, and then there you have your purpose for the rest of your life. For most people, it is a process, a long process to get it fully fleshed out of what you're supposed to be here to do. You have to excuse me, probably drinking water a couple times throughout this podcast. I am just getting over being sick, so it's a little, my throat's still a little bit froggy. So let's jump into what my purpose is and what I've discovered about myself. So my purpose is to affect as many individuals as I can on a spiritual and emotional level. Basically to light those people up and make them go internal and discover what they're really about. I visualize it as being the bonfire of consciousness that is just burning so hot that the individuals around me can't help but become lit up themselves. And then they are little beacons of light that go out into the world, and those beacons of light kind of affect more people. And eventually consciousness hits a tipping point where so many people are lit up in this way that the world really changes in a massive way for the good. My kind of what I do right now and what I plan to do more of is to use a whole myriad of different modalities to actually help people wake up in this way. It's pretty much my firm belief that everyone has a different access point, if you will, for how they can get through to do some of this deeper work, this deeper internal work. So for one person, it might be ecstatic dance. For another person, it might be meditation for 10 years. For another person, it might be psychedelics. And I want to be the person who can provide all of these different modalities, because not the same thing is going to work for each different person. someone grew up and maybe they watched a family member die because of a heroin overdose, it might be really difficult to get that person to do a psychedelic ceremony because they associate drugs with just like death and pestilence and things going really wrong. So, but maybe you can get them to do an ecstatic dance and they start to wake up some of the emotion internally of what's going on underneath the surface for them, and through that they can have a healing of its own kind. Also, using different ways of working with people, group talk counseling sessions I find very effective. Just simply sitting around with a few people and having the clear intention that you're going to talk honestly and openly about what's going on in your life and what you're experiencing. A lot of times that can be super fucking healing. And doing things like having kratom assisted, kratom as it's more officially pronounced, but I like to say kratom, kratom talk therapy sessions I can find very effective as a sort of less intense psychedelic experience. It's not even technically a psychedelic, it's more of an entheogen. Things like that could be an effective gateway in to actually start for people to do this internal work, that they can start to wake up themselves and start to become the best version of themselves. Because that's what my real goal here is to make everyone around me the best version of themselves. If I can make everyone around me the best version of themselves, make them most fully actualized of the part of themselves that is aiming at the good, I truly believe that the world can change very rapidly as a result of that. Using other different modalities to kind of help people wake up and to find whatever way is going to be most effective for them, not just what I believe is most effective for me. Obviously, I've had a bunch of very, very, very influential ayahuasca ceremonies, mushroom ceremonies, MDMA-assisted therapy sessions, and that's what was very effective for me. But I'm very cognizant of the fact that that is not going to be the perfect thing for every single person. Some people that are not going to be able to do mushroom or ayahuasca ceremonies because maybe they're on antidepressants and those two things don't gel super well. So there might be other ways to have for them to get the internal work that I believe so many people, especially in this day and age, really, really need, without having it to be this whole psychedelic ceremony thing on the other side. And I kind of think that my unique gift and offering to this work is sort of the logical, structured approach I bring to the table. So kind of like I was saying earlier, optimizing processes, making things as streamlined as possible, working on every little piece of the process from, the time someone walks in the door, what smell do they smell, what colors do they see, how are they greeted, do they feel warm and at home from the get-go when they walk into the room, or do they feel just kind of like uneasy and scared? Am I able to effectively call out what they're feeling internally so that they feel comfortable about it, like they're seen? Or is it an experience where they come in and they're just so anxious that they don't get what they need out of the experience? I think one of my great skills is really laying out these optimizations and laying out these processes in such a way that they can be the most effective they can be. And I think there's a huge sort of gap in the market for that within these different therapy modalities, because there's a lot of old tribal knowledge, shall we call it, but then I'd like to be the meshing between this old and the new of going, okay, how can we make this the best possible experience, both on the front end, so the person comes in feeling very comfortable, and on the back end, on the integration side of things, which is where a lot of current therapies sort of fall short. The other thing I think I really can bring to the table with this is through the optimization and through the process and procedures of different therapy modalities, is really streamlining things so that costs can be driven down to a bare minimum. One of my core beliefs is that a lot of the people who need these therapies the most are the ones who can least afford it. So finding ways for the therapy to be as low of a price as possible, things like an ecstatic dance session can really bring up a lot for someone, and you can make those things sort of extraordinarily cheap, 10, 15, 20 bucks, depending on what the space is and how much it costs to rent, and people can get a lot out of that. It doesn't need to be this $5,000 ayahuasca retreat in, Costa Rica or Ecuador or Peru, it can be an ecstatic dance session once a month that costs $20, but it helps that person dig underneath what is actually going on internally and start to embody some of those emotions. And really, it's important to me to be able to provide these services for free to people who have demonstrated, whether, ideas I'm throwing around in my head, whether it's through a tax return or whether it's through some modality like that, where I can see that, yeah, you're really financially in need. And I'd love for people who can afford to pay more to pay a bit more, and people who can't afford to pay to still be able to be a part of it. Because I think it's one of the great tragedies of our society is that a lot of times the people who are most financially able and stable are getting all of the help in the world, and the people who are least financially able and stable really don't have any resources. There's some good charities out there, but a lot of times they're just not able to do everything that you would have access to if you were somebody who is massively rich. So it's important to me to be able to provide that sort of sliding scale so that the people who most need what I'm providing are actually able to get it. Because that's the way I think we're going to wake up the quickest as a society, is if this can be provided to everyone, not just those with the financial means to get it. The other kind of unique gift that I think I bring to this work is just how much I've worked on it for myself. And this, I think I bring a deep intuition and understanding for a lot of these issues. I myself, and I haven't really talked about this publicly, I went through a sexual assault scenario committed against myself, where I actually got roofied and then woke up to something going on, and I'll cover that in a later video where I'll go a little more in depth of some of the work I did afterwards to help myself reintegrate that experience and become, back into myself. So I've used these sort of therapies to work through things like that, work through being suicidal in my 17, 18, 19-year-old age, work through alcoholism in my early 20s. So I think one of the big strengths I bring to the table on this is just my deep ability to empathize with others, because I've gone through some of this shit and I've seen the light at the other end of the tunnel, and have been able to walk through these just painful points in my own life, and to use all these different modalities, whether it's meditation, float tanks, psychedelic ceremony, to actually bring myself closer to fully integrated as a human. And I think that can do a lot for people. Sometimes people see maybe the Instagram feed, or they see just how I look, and they assume I must have had a great, perfect life and not had things be fucked up. But I think some of the experiences that I've gone through help lend some understanding that almost every person I've ever talked to has gone through some fucked up shit. And the more we can start to realize that we're all the same in that circumstance, I think the better off we will all be. And I've got a lot of experience working through these things for myself, so I can definitely help guide people through some of those experiences for themselves. It's something that's super important to me, because I think when we don't integrate our traumas that happen to us, we're more likely to go out and perpetrate those same traumas against other people. If we're extremely hurt and suicidal and sad, we're most likely to lash out to others that try to help us and just fuck off. No, I don't want your help. And if you can actually heal and work through these things, then you become the person who can be a light in someone else's life. And that's really what I provide here, and what my purpose is to be the light for as many people as I can, individually, on one-on-one, 1-on-5 basis, small group, so that they can then go be the light in their own community. And if that means I only help one person, then that's still amazing, because you never know, and I never know, who that one person will become and who they will be able to help. It could be I help one person and they go on to help the whole world. And if that's the case, then that's exactly what I was aiming for. And the means of how it gets done is less important than the end result, that we start to have some global conscious healing happen. I think the world's in a very rocky place right now, and we're kind of at a crossroads where a lot of this strife and this madness and sadness that we see going on is because we're disintegrated. We're not integrated individually and as a society. So what I think I can provide to the world is to help integrate both as a community, but on a personal level as well. Integrate the shadow, work through the demons inside of you, and become the best version of yourself so that you can be the shining light to others. So that's the long and short of kind of what my vision is for my life goal. I think some of the nuts and bolts side of things, I envision having multiple retreat centers that would offer a whole host of these different capacities. And as we start to come online with mushroom legalization and different of these psychedelic modalities, then bringing on therapists who are qualified to deal with those things, and then having ecstatic dance and yoga, meditation classes, guided meditation classes, talk assisted therapy where you just sit in a group and fucking talk with people about stuff that may be going wrong in your life. Different community building aspects throughout multiple retreat centers, and then having those retreat centers sort of be their own microcosm of a macrocosm. So each retreat center is this beautiful community within a city. I live in Minneapolis right now, but maybe there's 20 of these spread out throughout the US, so they're very accessible to people. And then people can get to them easily, and then they've got a little group of light around themselves in their community, and they can then spread the tendrils of that light throughout where they are personally. And I envision these retreat centers, hopefully being in beautiful parts of nature, but also being accessible in the cities so that they're not just this remote. One of the things I think that's disheartening for a lot of people is, like, if you want to go do ayahuasca and you want to go do it correct, most people have to go to Peru or Ecuador or Costa Rica, and it's this far away destination, and it's very, very financially limiting for most people because you have to buy the plane ticket, and that alone is going to cost you $1,000 probably, and then you got to get to where the center is, and it's just this whole process. I think a lot could be gained from having these sort of retreat centers both out in nature where it's accessible and easy, 25 minutes out of the city, but then also having some that are just straight up in a metropolitan area where people can get to it very easily, and they can experience this sense of community on a day-by-day and a week-by-week basis. And it's not only this big one-time journey where they go off into the jungle and they take the magical drug and then they come back and they're just in their normal life and not a whole lot has changed. I know a lot of people have that experience, and that's what I'm trying to prevent here. Is I want to have the community built around so that as people come back after a big experience, they still have the support group right around them. So that's my vision for my life, my passion, the thing I really believe I'm here to do, and what I'm trying to bring to the world. And I appreciate you sitting and listening through it. It's something that's incredibly personal and important to me, and it's something that really, if I can do one thing with my life, if I can see that vision through, and whether that's me personally being the person that accomplishes it, or just helping a couple people specifically who bring that whole vision to bear, that's all I want to do while I'm here. So a little bit switching gears on how to uncover your vision and how to uncover your own personal things that you are good at and what you think your life's passion could be. So I think it's very important to journal. Obviously, I've sang the praises of journaling before. Journaling is going to give you a 10,000-foot perspective on what each of the things that you may enjoy are, because you'll be able to look back and go, okay, I had a really good day there, and there. What are the common denominators? And okay, all 3 of those days was when I helped someone who was homeless get a meal. Great. There, that's one piece of your perfect puzzle. And then you may see other patterns where you go, okay, and I had a shitty day there, and there. Well, why was I having a crappy day? Oh, it's because I didn't talk to any friends or family on those 3 days. So then all of a sudden you start to draw this big picture of you seeing, okay, this is what I enjoy, this is what I enjoy, this is what I enjoy. And at one point I actually spent an entire year doing this, where literally I wrote down every single day the thing that made me the happiest that day. And then as a big aggregate picture, I've been able to look at it and go, okay, there's a lot of commonalities between these different days. It's like, oh, being social with people I care about, helping others, working on something I find inspiring. Okay, boom, boom, boom. That piece goes there, that piece goes there. Oh, and it starts to uncover this vision of what your life is supposed to be. So, journaling is number one. That is by far going to be the most powerful tool in your arsenal to start to uncover what your life's purpose is. Number two, talk to others. Ask everyone around you what your life purpose is or what they think you are especially good at. People are going to have answers that you're not expecting. They're going to say, holy shit, you know what? You always make me feel like the most important person in the room, and I just really appreciate your ability to connect to others. And you're going to go, huh, I didn't know that I was that warm and welcoming. I thought I'm actually pretty cold because I'm very in my head and I'm not, I just don't feel like I'm welcoming. Talk to other people. Ask them what they think you're good at. And you're going to get this whole other side of things because you may be making people feel a certain way that you're not even aware of. And just becoming conscious of that can be a massive step towards whatever your goal is. Because you may go, oh, well, I really like facilitating and welcoming people. Maybe I should host events, and maybe the events should be around my other passion, which is horseback riding. And I love horseback riding, I love being around horses. So wouldn't it be cool if I could make everyone feel really, really at home when they're out riding horses in nature? Boom, there you go. You've got your life purpose. And whatever this might be, you're going to have people tell you stuff. And if you're really feeling bold, have them tell you the things that they think you are not good at as well. I did this exercise once, and it was inspired by Gary Vaynerchuk. And the exercise is to have people to write down the 3 best qualities you have and the 3 worst qualities you have. And to really create a safe space for your friends and family to write that down, where you make it clear, like, hey, I'm not going to judge you for what you write down. It'd be really, really important to me if you could write down honestly as possible what these things are. And so I went around and got all these answers, and it was really something because a lot of the good things were things that I knew about myself. Very confident. I speak very well. A lot of the bad things, though, were things that I didn't really want to hear. And you can kind of see the ego come up. Things like I'm bad at listening. I don't do a very good job of making someone feel welcome right when they walk in the door. I don't do a super good job of being, not understanding, that's not the word, but being super meeting someone at the emotional level when that's where they need to be met, rather than the logical, here's how to fix your problem level. I think that's somewhat a male trait. And just seeing those things clearly laid out in front of me provided a massive, nearly immediate jump in who I am as a person, because if people are giving you the honest answers, the bad things about you, the things that you don't really want to look at, those are your biggest areas to improve. I was able to go, oh, okay, I don't make people feel welcome right when I first see them. And why is it? Well, internally for me, it was just that I feel awkward in my head when I'm first meeting people or when I'm saying hello to them. It's just kind of like, oh, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to be dumb. And so a lot of times I just won't greet them as warmly as I want to because I'm feeling awkward internally. But the way it comes across is that I'm being a douchebag and being dismissive. So it was a check for me to go, okay, that's something I can focus on specifically. I want to make sure that I get right up to someone, look them directly in the eyes, be like, hey, how are you doing? It's really good to see you. And just doing those little, seemingly small things all of a sudden changes the game. I'm having way warmer interactions with people. People are opening up to me more. So that's piece of advice number 2, is to sort of ask those around you what exactly your strengths are and your weaknesses if you're feeling brave. And then that'll provide a clearer picture of what you're supposed to be doing. So number 3, this kind of goes along with journaling, and you can take some time to journal about it, but write down or think about some of the things that you enjoyed doing as a kid. For me, I know from the age of 10 to 16, one thing I did a lot was at sleepovers, I'd just really be asking people about, hey, how's everything going? Who do you like? Classic little boy sleepover shit where it's like, who do you like? Oh, yeah, maybe you could do this and she would like you too, blah, 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 blah. And it kind of was positive for me to look back at that stuff because I was able to go, okay, that's still something I enjoy, is kind of helping people through stuff and talking through people's emotions. So that was a part of myself that I had sort of had over here, is like, that's just what I was like as a kid. But realistically, a lot of times the stuff that you enjoyed as a kid is going to manifest itself into who you are as a person now. So that is tip number 3, is sort of look into what you enjoyed as a kid and either journal about it or just think about it and spend some time meditating about it. Number 4, this one is a work in progress for every single person, but number 4, and this will be the last one, is just live in truth. And that's difficult. It's not easy for me. I don't think it's easy for anyone, honestly. I think there's very few people who live 100% in truth and find it easy to do. The reason you want to live in truth, to uncover your life's purpose, is because when you're living in truth, things just, without getting too woo-woo, things just kind of manifest themselves the way they're supposed to be. I found this a long time ago with my relationships. I would have these relationships that would go good for about 6 months to a year. Things would kind of fall apart. It's because I wasn't being honest about what I really wanted. As soon as I started being honest about what I really wanted, which was an open relationship, and I knew that's something that I need personally, all of a sudden the relationship just comes to fruition. And, it doesn't need to be some magical shit going on, some The Secret bullshit. It's just that I'm being honest with people about what I want. So I'm filtering in those who actually like what I want and believe in it as well. And I'm filtering out all the people who maybe previously I would have, said, oh no, it's just you that I want to be with. So by living in truth, it's kind of like a filtering mechanism that filters out the people that you're not supposed to be around and filters in the people that you are supposed to be around. The more you can live in your own truth, the more you're going to see things just come up where, for example, when I make this video, if someone goes, oh, wow, that's awesome, that life's purpose that you expressed is something that I want to help with. Well, all of a sudden, me living in my truth has manifested some person coming in to help me realize that vision. So a lot of times it's just being as honest as you can with tact. You don't need to be a dickhead about it and go, yeah, you do look pretty fucking fat in that dress. That's gross. Because that's not really truth. The truth you want to live is the truth of who you are. So if someone invites you to go for, get hammered on a Thursday night, and you don't want to go get hammered on a Thursday night, it's totally okay to just be like, I'm not really interested in going out and getting super drunk. Maybe suggest something else. What I would like to do is go for a bike ride if it's nice out. And then you'll start to filter in the people that you're supposed to be around, and you'll start to be more honest both with others and with yourself about what's making you feel good and what's not. A lot of times we lie to ourselves because the things other people want us to do, and whether that's your parents or your friends or your coworkers, the things that they want you to do, it's a lot emotionally easier to just go with the flow and not cause a ruckus. But then internally, your mind is constantly telling yourself, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is bullshit. You don't like doing this. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And that internal self-talk kind of erodes your self-esteem and your confidence over time, because you start to become a bullshit person. You're a person who does what other people want. You don't do what you want ever. You're just doing whatever the wind blows. That's the way you're going. And when you become like that, you're never going to live in your purpose or your truth, because you're living in other people's purpose and other people's truth. And for all you know, they're not even living in their purpose or their truth. They're also living in someone else's purpose or their truth. So what you need to do is just be honest. If you don't want to do something, don't really want to do that. Sorry, it's not my thing. I don't like doing that. Love to do this other thing with you because I'd love to see you. And as you start to have that integrity internally, it's going to build up clarity, and that clarity is going to guide you to your purpose. You're going to start to really see what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy. You're going to spend less time doing shit that's not on purpose, in your purpose, on your purpose. And as you start to be more intentional about what you're doing, then your purpose is going to open up in front of you. So those are my sort of 4 tips about how to get closer to your purpose and kind of uncover what is underneath for yourself. I kind of think of it, as I said, archaeology. You're dusting away. You could also think about it like an onion. You're peeling away layers, and as you peel back each layer of who you are, there's another layer underneath. And once you get down to that core, there's your core of who you are. And then that is what you need to be pursuing. So thank you all for listening. I appreciate you watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please drop a comment below or like it or share it out to your friends. Honestly, it'd be amazing if this was one of my most popular videos, because this is probably the most important video for me personally. Because I think lighting people up for their life's purpose and me expressing my life's purpose is something that's just super, super critical and something that's missing a lot in the world. So again, if you don't follow me on Instagram already, go drop a follow there at Alexander Diesel. If you don't already subscribe to my YouTube channel here, please do so, and drop a comment, share this video out to whoever you can, and I will see you next time.